Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Let's Debrief podcast. As Jenna mentioned last week, we broke up, and so now you are all products of divorce, childs of divorce, and you're just going to have to hop back and forth. We're going to take turns every single week giving you an episode. So this week it's my episode. Obviously, we're kidding. I imagine, though, I listened to that episode before, we put it out for you guys, and I was listening to it and watching it, and I was like, what? What is she about to say? Did we break up? What happened? But, yeah, so our schedules kind of were just crossing each other, and literally when I got back from Florida, there was one day that we would have been able to record, and so we were like, you know what, let's just record solo episodes. We've kind of been not wanting to, but we're like, we should record them to stash away, just in case we're in a pinch one week. And then it just kind of happened that we were like, well, let's just release them. And so Jenna's episode was last week. If you haven't listened yet, go back. She is so entertaining when it comes to stories and stuff, and so she just spent the whole episode talking about all of these random, literally from high school childhood stories all the way up to people kissing her belly when she was pregnant last year. And it was so random, but it was so fun, and I just loved getting to listen along and to not have any idea what was going to happen next, because even though there are some weeks, I don't know if people have asked us this before, but there are some weeks that we listen back and we could have easily recorded, especially in the beginning. We started recording and putting away episodes in, oh my gosh, what was that? She was a couple weeks away from her due date. So in November, October, yeah, wait, maybe it was early November. And then, so when we released them by January, we were like, I have no idea what we said. But even there's some episodes that we recorded 2 weeks ago, even the last one before Jenna's, I was like, oh, I need to go back and listen to this again, because we read stories of your most embarrassing moments, and I was like, I don't remember a ton of them. So in that instance, it's fun to go back and listen. But last week it was fun to be one of you guys and genuinely not knowing what was coming next. And so this week you're stuck with me. I have you all to myself, and we're gonna kind of hop all over the place. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I have I just have the most random list. Let me show you my list. I've been showing here. You see my list? If you're watching on video, it's probably not in focus and it's probably blown out, but there's my list. Where it's just all over the place, where I have had random thoughts over the past few weeks, knowing that this episode was coming, and I was like, oh, I should just write that down and maybe I'll talk about it on my episode. So yeah, we'll just kind of see where we get to and what time I cut us off. So, life update. I was in Florida for, like Jenna said last week, it felt like a million years, but it ended up being just 10 days, which is still a long time. My parents moved down there. People also, I just want to add, I am so overwhelmed by the amount of people that loved my mom episode. She was so happy seeing all of your guys' kind words and reviews and everything. I guess at this point she definitely has to come back for another episode. But I think I was with her when it released. I had gotten to Florida that day, I think. And she was just like, did people really say that? And so just to all of you who said things, and just for all of you that listened in general, just know from Brittany's heart, she says thank you. And of course we say thank you. But yeah, we got really good feedback on that episode, so we'll have to bring her back. But yeah, my parents moved down to Florida, and we went down on Thanksgiving, or around Thanksgiving, and in February, and now May. And it's just the best. I don't know, it's especially in February, it was really nice because it was so cold here and just so unbearable that it was I don't know why, it's just so wild to me. This is gonna sound pretentious, but I grew up in Southern California, so there was no winter. There was literally 50-degree days, and we would still go to the beach with like sweaters on and play volleyball. So it's just a different world up here. And so I'm trying to escape to Florida as often as possible. So yeah, this time we had planned far in advance with our friends Joe and Shayla. I don't know how much of this we mentioned on the podcast, but they have a family of 4. They're a family of 4. They have 2 girls, and they were like, we really want to go stay with your parents in Florida and do Disney and like whatever else you suggest. And I was like, perfect, we're there. And so we flew down with them. I have okay, everyone will maybe have to give me their opinion, but I prefer a nice early flight. I want to be out the door by like 4 a.m. catching like a 6:30 flight. It is painful in the moment, but depending on where you're going, especially, there's a lot of payoff to it. I love arriving to a city or my destination by like 10 a.m. So like when Cole and I went to California, we left, I think our flight left at 6:30. Then I think we flew to like Chicago or something. We were in California by 11 a.m. And I was like, this is great. I love this. But I will say, this was the earliest flight I've been on in a very long time. I just didn't really know that they did flights this early. I flew a flight like this, I think, like a few years ago. But 5:30 in the morning was the time that we were taking off. So we were up. Joe and Shayla, I know, were up at 2:30. We were up at 3 and we left our house at 3:30. And this is also just like telling of like, it is night and day traveling with kids and traveling like by yourself, like without kids. Joe and Shayla got up at, and I think maybe even, no, they got up at 2:30 and I left their house by 3. We left our house at 3:30. Got to the airport by 4. Joe and Shayla were there a half hour before us. They parked, checked all of their bags, got their kids through security. 30 minutes after, we were sitting at security, or like we were already through security. Essentially, we left our house 30 minutes later and got through everything and were waiting for them at the gate for 30 minutes. And I was just like, that's insane to me, but it totally checks out. Like, and nothing like went awry. Like when they got to the gate, they were like, hey guys, like we're super excited and everything. So it's just like crazy just how having kids like just changes your travel experience. But yeah, it was their daughter Ellie, well, I guess both of their daughters, first flights, and it was just fun to see like how excited they were, or like Ellie was, but also like nervous, and I was like, I'm right there with you, girl. I will say my flight anxiety was a little bit better this time around. If you have any suggestions for me in the future, let me know. The way there was definitely easier. The way back was a little bit rougher. Maybe I'm alone in this, but something about flying Spirit just makes me feel like I'm going to fall out of the sky. In the moment, I'm like, oh yeah, give me that $75 flight. I'll suffer through it. It'll be fine. But then when I'm like the night before getting ready for the flight, I'm like, I'm going to die because I paid $75 for this flight. Even though they all follow the same rules, but something about being on Southwest, Delta, any of those, I feel so comforted, and I'm just like, we're fine. But the minute I step on Spirit, I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, be with me. So maybe that's why I was a little bit more nervous. But yeah, then we got to Florida, and then the next day we went to Magic Kingdom. Obviously everybody here knows, big Disney stans, and yeah, it was so much fun, and just so much fun like seeing. All 4 of them have never been before, I don't think. Maybe Joe when he was a kid. But just all of them experiencing it for the first time, and like the first time together, and like, I don't know, it's just so much fun. And I think like obviously it's very expensive to go, and so I think that this time around sold us that like we want to get passes, because every single time that we go for one day, and just Cole and I, it's like $350. And I'm like, I'd rather put that towards a pass. So stay tuned on if we get Disney passes, but that just feels like the next step. I'm pretty sure I can get a pass like through my parents' address, so we'll see. But yeah, and then we spent the week basically with them, and then Peter arrived on Sunday, And we left on Wednesday. Peter arrived on Sunday. We all went to Volcano Bay together. The water park that I have talked about before, that I'm obsessed with, has the crazy river. It's a lot of fun. So we all went there together. Again, very fun. And then Joe and Shayla left on Tuesday, and then us and Peter stayed until Friday. So yeah, we were there Wednesday to Friday, which now I don't know, it's just a little bit over a week, but it just felt like a long time. And then especially like once Peter was there, like we just slowed down a ton. And so it was just really nice. Like we caught up on work and but could do it like laying by the pool, and the whole week just called for a bunch of rain, and it didn't rain a ton. So that was really nice. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other life updates that came with that. We got home and just hit the ground running. We got home on Friday and I shot a wedding on Saturday as a second shooter, which is just the best if you're a photographer. I just love being a second shooter because it is literally zero pressure. I don't know, at least I feel it. Unless there's a specific shot at a specific time that the lead shooter wants you to get, I just feel so chill. So I was just vibing, and it was just great vibes all day, and that doesn't happen very often, so I was very thankful for that. And then yeah, we've just been chilling. I honestly we're getting ready to go on another trip next week. Finally, you've literally all been hearing about this since January, but Cape Cod is upon us, and so I think we leave next Thursday. And while we're there, I think we've already talked about this, but going to be recording a Core 5 episode. So we're really excited. The husbands will be on, and Peter, of course. And you guys, I have to address this with you. You sent in we said, ask the boys, what kind of questions, would you, ask, your guy best friend, or, do you just want the boys to answer in general? All three of them. Oh my gosh. First of all, I think in the first, not even day, it was the first 8 hours maybe, we had 35 responses, which is just maybe even more than that, honestly. But it just so quickly, that was the most responses we've easily gotten on something. And we were these women just have questions and they need them answered, and they need them answered now. But again, I feel maybe we've opened the door, but you guys just love talking about sex. You eat it up. We had no intention of ever being this sexy podcast, but you guys keep asking the questions, and so we'll see what the boys have to say, but I'm sure that'll make them extremely uncomfortable. But if you have not yet, you still have an opportunity, chance, because by the time this comes out, we will be getting ready to leave for Cape Cod. So I'm sure we'll post on our Instagram another link where you can go ask the boys some questions, and we'll record at some point on our trip. But I am very excited about that. I'm very excited to not be flying and that it's driving. We don't have any flights, I think, scheduled for the rest of the summer. I think we're gonna kind of lay low. June or May and June are always the busiest time, because I've talked about this before, I think, but our schedule really is just working for a church is just so interesting. And so it's around August we'll start talking about Christmas, and so it's you need to be around for meetings and everything. But it's usually by the time you're locked in for sure, you might be able to swing a trip in September, but you're locked in for sure by October. So that's why we had talked about stuff for Christmas last year before our wedding, and then we went away on our honeymoon, and things were changed about Christmas. So it's our wedding was October 1st, and we were on our honeymoon the week after that. And so it's decisions are being made, things are happening, meetings are happening, so you really have to be there and not be on any trips. So yeah, we're kind of on from September to April, and then it's once Easter is over, we are released, it feels where it's okay, and we've taken small trips on the in between, especially after Christmas, we're when we went to Florida and Mexico for that week, it was we can get away. Like, you're still allowed to leave, like, of course, but it's like you can't just take off for long periods of time. So, but yeah, since I've started working at church, which it's been 4 years now, every May, I feel like I'm never in Pittsburgh. And so we always like kind of plan our trips around then. So like this year we were in California at the end of April and the beginning of May. And then we're home for a decent bit. Like, we honestly weren't gone that much, I don't think, during May. And then it was the last week of May we went to Florida. And then we're back for a week. Then we'll go to Cape Cod. And then we're back for a week or two, maybe a week and a half, a little bit longer than that. And then we're planning to go to New York with Peter. And then really after that, we are home. We have nothing else scheduled, I don't think, for a little bit. And I think I'm just going to enjoy being at home. Hold me to that, though, because I don't know. This kind of goes into like one of my bullet points, but I feel bad. But this is now my, let's see, I moved here in summer of 2015. So, I'm like, oh my gosh, what year is it? Oh my gosh, that's 8 years, right? This will be my 8th year here. And we kind of went back and forth like a few times in between that. But I have entered my Pittsburgh hate era. And hate is definitely a strong word. I don't hate it, but I'm just like, it's kind of giving me the ick recently. I'm ready for a change, and like, don't be dramatic. Nothing's going to happen anytime soon, but it's just not doing it for me right now. Like, just the not having easy, accessible pools or like water to go swim in that's not going to be extremely crowded gives me the ick. And it's summertime, baby. I want to be, again, pretension is speaking. I'm 1,000% aware, but I want to be at the beach. I grew up at the beach every single weekend, and we also had a pool in our backyard. So like when it was 107 degrees in the Inland Empire, which is where I grew up, we would just jump in the pool. And so if you hear that, that's my ice machine. And last year oh gosh, this was awful. Like, we had Kennywood passes, and we're big fans of Kennywood, and it does the trick. Like, it's very Pittsburgh-esque, and it can be fun, and it can be a vibe. Last year, we were planning a wedding. We got engaged in May, and we were getting married in October. So our summer, like, didn't exist at all. And I'm very excited for summer this year to, like, actually have a summer. But we went to Sandcastle one day for Joe's birthday, and it was on a Saturday. Oh my gosh, I have never seen that many people. And also, it was like the hottest day too, all of a sudden. I was dripping sweat, and like you had to wait in line for like the lazy river and like just stuff like that. You couldn't freely go in, which like I understand the safety precaution behind it, but there was just so many people that I think I went to the wave pool, and that was like the only water I touched because everything else was so long of a wait. And I was just like, I just need to be in the water because it's so hot. And so Sandcastle was a no, like, for us this year. And after that, like, there are some really cool places and like streams and like rivers in Ligonier that you can go to, but I feel like a lot of people know about them. And so it's like, oh, that stinks. Jen and Tan do have like a community pool that's really cute because it is like all fresh water from their creek. I'm pretty sure that's all the right verbiage on that. And so that's really cute, but it also needs to be really hot because it is really cold since it's coming straight from the creek. So that's the only thing about that. But I did enjoy that last year and just being like around there. Both of Jen's parents, like Tanner's parents and Jen's parents, have pools too. So we do have options here. But all of that to say, we got back from Florida and Cole was like, we need a pool. And I was like, thank you so much. Because that will help my Pittsburgh hate. I'm just bored. I'm bored. And I'm like, I need more. It's not giving me the pizzazz it once did. And it really kind of happens in summertime. So, because I'm just like, winter, I don't know. Like, winters here kind of suck because it's like so cold. So I'm looking for summer to really do more. and it's just not anymore. So stay tuned. Hopefully I get out of this funk because I have free housing here. So it makes sense to be here and jobs here. But, you know, we will see. Wow, that was a really long intro, really long life update. But I will say, I have my special drink. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before. But this, because I'm recording, it is now 9:30 at night. But I just was like, I want to get this out there because we have a busy weekend coming up. So I was like, I just want to record my episode, and chat with all of you. So my nighttime special drink is tart cherry juice with coconut water. And it's like 3 parts cherry juice, 1 part the coconut water. So, 1 second, let me take a little sip. So cute. Also my little straw. I don't know if you can see it, that Maggie got me. I think it's so cute. And I want to get more fun straws just like it. Okay. That was a brief interruption. My sister came home. I'm sitting in the living room. I guess I didn't even introduce where I was sitting, but I'm in our living room. And we usually record in our kitchen just around the corner over there. What I was saying was tart cherry juice. So I saw on Instagram that I follow a post about it, and they were like, we drink these with dinner, and like they just call them like tart cherry nightcaps. We drink these with dinner, and tart cherries help naturally produce melatonin in your body, aka helping you sleep better. And I'm not gonna lie, I believe it. Like, I have slept like great since like starting it, but let me, like, everybody here, like from the health episode and just what I've talked about in general, I'm like, I feel like you know my relationship with sleep, but it has been a journey, and there are a lot of things that I have implemented to help me sleep better. The current routine, thank you for asking, is I don't eat any gluten throughout the day. And if I do eat gluten, it is very small. Like, I'm trying to think of like examples. Like, it literally has to be like a pastry. And like when we were in Florida, I was actually pretty proud of myself. I stuck to gluten-free pretty well. And on Disney is incredible about like having gluten, dairy-free, allergy like friendly options. Universal, they could not care less. I cannot stand Universal's food. Like, it is so gross and just not the best. Like, I don't know. Literally, like one day I was like, I want a salad, and I kid you not, less than the size of, I'm trying, if you can see this right now, it's probably like that big. And it was a tomato and mozzarella salad. Like the size of like a Gecko salad. Honestly, maybe Gecko even sells bigger salads. $15. $15. And I was like, no, I'm so sorry. I'm not buying that. And anyways, their food just sucks. So I have to have very limited gluten throughout the day. And then I have my tart cherry juice either with dinner or like right before I get ready for bed. And like I'll just take it into like our room with me. We'll watch Modern Family. I'll sip on it. And then one thing I also have really come to love, and I think it really does make me sleepy, would love to know more of the science behind it, but is my acupressure mat. I love that thing. I put it on my Christmas list for Cole's Family Gift Exchange this year, and I got it. And it's just on Amazon. There definitely are expensive ones that you can get, but I'm pretty sure mine was like $25 to $30. Like, it's pretty inexpensive, and I just lay on it on my back again while I watch Modern Family, and I really like just feel it start to like get sleepy in my eyes. And so, you know, just those 3 things and you'll sleep perfectly. So I don't know, I have done, like, I've stuck with like also I just love cherry flavored things. And so now that like I've started drinking it, I'm just like, well, it's just one more special drink to throw into the mix for the day. And so I like it a lot. And some people do it with like a sparkling water, and I don't know how I came up with coconut water, but I was like, coconut water is good for you. It's like extra hydrating, so it's not a bad thing. And I don't know, just, yeah, it tastes good. There are definitely a lot of different ones that you can get. As of right now, my personal favorite is from Whole Foods, and it is like $10, which is a lot to spend on juice. But I did see the other day, it is available at Walmart for $5. So might start shopping at Walmart. or I might do a grocery pickup and see how much money I save. Also, now that farmers markets are back, I'm going to see how much I can get at a farmer's market. How cute. So hopefully I can go to my first one this week. And then there's one from Trader Joe's, which is the one that I'm drinking right now. That is also like $5. It's not as good. I'll tell you now. They are not all created equally. And then tonight I had to get like a few things at Target. Controversial, I'm aware. And I was like, oh, I need more juice. I wonder if they have my juice. And Cole found one, and it's Target branded. So stay tuned if you're still shopping at Target on if the tart cherry juice from there is good. So that is what I'm drinking, my nighttime drink. Yeah, also in general, I have so many thoughts. I'm so sorry that I'm going to be jumping all over the place, but they kind of relatively lead into each other. Happy Wednesday anyways. But I have grown to love, because I've created my nighttime routine where it's like I'll come home from work, make dinner, have my special drink. Sometimes it's like just a sparkling water. Sometimes I'm ready to have my cherry juice. Make dinner, have dinner. We'll watch a show out maybe in the living room before we go into the bedroom. And then I'll like wash my face and have my tart cherry juice, lay on my mat. We'll watch Modern Family. Sometimes I'll have ice cream. Have I spoken about the Jenny's birthday cake ice cream? Oh my gosh. It is genuinely, and I do like ice cream a lot. It is genuinely the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. It's like birthday buttercream cake, birthday cake. Maybe it's like buttercream birthday cake ice cream. The cake bits in it are gluten-free, so that's awesome. And I'm kind of starting to implement more of a dairy-free diet. Again, just occasionally, not super strict, but just occasionally. Don't freak out. So I'm trying to stay away from it a little more because it's not dairy-free. But oh my gosh, every single bite has sprinkles. Every single bite has a piece of cake. And it's just buttercream goodness. Oh, it's so good. So sometimes I'll have a little bit of ice cream in bed. And I have just grown to love the nighttime. I love getting ready for bed. And I love obviously going to sleep. And then that bleeds into my morning. I love my mornings. And it varies, like depending on, where I'm at in my cycle, depending on what the schedule is for that week. Some days I have to go into the office, some days I don't. Some days I'm waking up at 6 a.m., some days I'm sleeping till 9. 9's a little bit that's dramatic, but I have grown to love a 6 a.m. workout class. And on top of that, I love a 6 a.m. cycling class. My parents, when they lived here, had a Peloton, and I rode it occasionally. But then, as it got closer to, them leaving, I didn't ride it, ever. And they took it with them to Florida. But now I have ClassPass. So sorry if I've talked about this before, but ClassPass, you just have credits, and then you can go to a bunch of different gyms in honestly anywhere, which is really nice. Like when I'm in Florida, I can go use it at places in Florida. So that's really nice. But Zenergy here in Pittsburgh, if you are local, it's in Shadyside. I love it so much, and I just think it's so fun. I have been off of my cardio literally for 10 years. There's a class at Pure Barre that's much more cardio based, and I avoid it like the plague. I hate it. I just hate getting my heart rate up. I hate being out of breath. I hate sweating a ton. It's just it has never been my vibe. So, but I was like, I'm just going to branch out and go to this cycling class. And I fell in love with it. It's so much fun. It's such good energy. It's 45 minutes, and it just feels so quick. And it really is a full body workout. There's an arm section, and then you'll be riding the bike and you'll do crunches. That sounds really weird, but I promise it makes sense. But I've just fallen in love with it. And so I'm trying to spend all my credits as energy now. So then that has kind of led to okay, maybe I should incorporate more cardio into my workout again. So my parents also had a Peloton tread. So then that tread is still in our basement because it was too big for them to take to Florida. So I'm maybe I should start running on it more. When I was in Florida, we have the Peloton app and everything. And I did a 30-minute Peloton run. I have not ran for enjoyment. I genuinely actually can't remember the last time, before this, that I ran for a workout for fun. I played softball, with our church for a few years, and, I ran the bases, but even then, that's, not even that big of a thing. But I feel like I've taken a 10-year hiatus off of running, because once I, didn't play softball in high school anymore, it was never what I wanted to do. So, which is really funny, because I actually think I just told this to Cole recently, and he was like, I didn't know that about you. I think when I was 13 to 15, I ran 3 half marathons. 13 to 15, 3 half marathons, 13.1 miles. And I just can't believe I did that. And I remember at that age, I was like, by 18, I'm going to run a marathon. Yeah, absolutely not. No way. And at 24, I definitely don't want to run a marathon, but I would consider doing a half marathon again. I don't know, just for the flex of it. Now being in a different city, it's a big thing in Pittsburgh, and it just happened. So I'm like, if I want to get ready for next year, I got a lot of time. But I've just really been loving running and cardio recently. So it's been a real 180 shift over here, but still doing strength training and Pure Barre and stuff like that. So I personally love ClassPass. If you want my little code, save us each a little money. Maybe I'll throw it in the show notes, or you can text me or DM the podcast. But I've been loving that and just having options. And then on top of that, Peter and I have been talking about going to a CrossFit class together, because that is also something I used to do when I was in high school. One of my youth teachers owned a CrossFit gym, and she would let us just come there. And yeah, that was probably the most in shape I have ever been in my life. I was playing softball and doing CrossFit when I didn't have games. And so I'm trying to get back to that. We'll see. Anyways, that, again, those are just some of my free thoughts that were just off the dome here, just I wanted to mention to all of you guys. So now I'm going to go to my list of things I wanted to talk about or refresh your memory on, maybe in some cases. First one being Man Crush Monday. Do you remember? So I think I saw a post, or when did Instagram, it was 2008. That checks out. It would have been 10. That Instagram went live, they launched Instagram, and I remember people were waiting with bated breath to be posting their Man Crush Monday. You could not post it on Wednesday. If you found a photo of Chris Hemsworth, you had to hold on to it until the following Monday, where you could post it for Man Crush Monday. And then 8 a.m. before school, you were posting hashtag Man Crush Monday. And I just think it's so funny. I think I saw a post from somebody recently, and I was I was stalking somebody's Instagram, and I was like, oh my gosh, this literally was a movement. We all did this every single week. And Flashback Friday. Oh gosh, what else? Oh, there's Throwback Thursday, Flashback Friday. That was the same thing. You just if you missed Thursday, you got another chance on Friday. Trying to think if there's anything else. If there's anything else I'm of those. Wasn't there a Thirsty Thursday or Thirsty Tuesday or something that was the backup to Man Crush Monday? Wasn't there also, sorry, now they're all coming back to me, Way Back Wednesday? Am I making all of this up? Correct me if I'm wrong. DM me or DM the podcast any more ideas that you had on this. But yeah, that was my first thought. That really had a chokehold on our generation. Okay. I'll save this up. These two kind of go together, so I'll skip those for now. Another topic I'd like to discuss, and obviously you've been around since we've started the podcast in January, so New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. But I am now 6 months alcohol free. Cue the applause. Yay, Ashley. Our friend Joe is also alcohol free, and we didn't do a pack together or anything. I was just I don't think I'm going to have alcohol for the year. And he was like, oh my gosh, I was going to do the same thing. And I was like, no way. And so we're really leading the charge within our friend group. And we both are just kind of like, I don't know if like, I don't know if a ton of people have asked him, some people have asked me, but like, do you feel like incredible? Do you feel like amazing? And I will say, I don't feel that much different. Where, I don't know, I think like towards the end of, it was like end like November, December, even like around like our wedding, like even back to like October, I remember saying to Nicole, like, I'm not going to drink a ton at our wedding because I like want to be present. I don't want to be wasted. And then we went to Greece and like we drank and like that was like fun, like whatever. But it was just like slowly the end of the year last year, I just started losing interest in alcohol. And so I was already kind of phasing out. It's not like I was like going like hard and then like stopped immediately. So it just was, it's hard to pinpoint. And I'm like, yeah, like I don't miss like having 2 or 3 drinks and then waking up the next morning kind of feeling like crap in my stomach. I don't miss that, obviously, but there isn't anything that like I feel like it really added, but it's just the absence of feeling sick or nauseous when you have too much to drink. So that's kind of like, you know, with it being June now, that's like my 6-month update. But on top of that, I feel since being sober, I have gone, like, obviously when I go out, like, either if we're at bars or restaurants, like, obviously I'm, like, I still participate in, like, going out with our friends and stuff, but I'll just be like, oh, can I have a Shirley Temple? Oh, can I have a Coke? Or, like, whatever. But some restaurants, and we notice this a lot in Florida, have a, like, a mocktail menu or, like, a non-alcoholic menu. And I feel like that's new. Which leads me to my point of I feel like alcohol is the new cigarettes. So what I mean is, obviously back in like the 50s and everything, 50s, 60s, people were smoking. Everyone smoked. You smoked on planes, you smoked in restaurants, hotel rooms, like everywhere. And then don't ask me when, like, but eventually it was like, oh, hey, this is actually destroying our bodies and like our lungs. We shouldn't do this. So then it was not as socially acceptable as it once was. Like, obviously people still smoke, but they're like, hey, we've actually learned all of this stuff. Like, maybe we shouldn't do this. I feel like alcohol is becoming that way. And this is in no way to say, like, I am now superior, better than anybody because I do not drink. But I just have noticed that other people are also joining in. And I said to Cole, like, I will probably, like, after this year, because, like, I'm like, I just want to make it, like, the year of, like, no alcohol, because, like, I made this pact to myself. But then after that, I was listening to a podcast, and the one guy on the podcast was like, I don't want 30, oh gosh, I'm going to mess this up, 30% of my days out of the year, I'll allow myself a drink. So you do the math on that. Like, it's not a ton of days. And so I'm like, maybe something like that, maybe even like 10% of 365. Because I'm just like not like interested anymore. Like, I don't know. But I will say I do miss a nice cold flute of champagne. Oh, it really does hit. Like, and it's just so classy and so simple. It stands alone, doesn't need theatrics. Like, I mean, I loved it in a French 75, but something about just a glass of champagne really hits. And so I do miss that. And so when it's like the year is over, maybe I'll do like an occasional, like at weddings for toasts and stuff. Yesterday I was in a situation where like people were toasting champagne and I just like took the cup and then like tucked it away. I was like, man, it's not worth explaining. And people are always like, so you're pregnant? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Which I honestly haven't had a ton of people ask. I feel like I'm like, I'm offended, but I feel like everyone always told me, and this is great as a society that we're getting better at this, but it's like you get married and then immediately people are like, well, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? And we didn't get a ton of that from some family members, and I told them to not bring it up again. And then after that, nothing. But yeah, I feel like not drinking would be like a big thing that people would be like thinking that I was pregnant, but I haven't experienced that a ton. So now I've set myself up really well where when I am pregnant, no one's going to know because they're like, oh, she just doesn't drink. So I'm thinking about the long game here. This is all just to fool people and be mysterious. Just, whatever. Anyways, so I feel like that's maybe where we're moving. I feel like people are drinking less. That could just be me, could just be my friend group. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. I want all of the feedback in this episode. I want you, it's because I can't banter with Jenna, so I need to banter with you. Okay. So it's just us girls here, right? And maybe a few guys, but I feel uncomfortable posting about this on my social media because I'm just like, my pastors follow me, like this is weird. But I need to let you know about something that has absolutely changed my life, and this shouldn't be as awkward as it is to talk about, but we're going to talk about it here on the Let's Debrief podcast. Is a safe space. And yeah, anyways, I'll cut to the point. I have been using a menstrual cup for almost a year now, and it is one of the single greatest things that's ever happened to me. I will explain. I always had clean tampons, or at least what I thought. Remember a year ago when they were like, actually there's titanium dioxide and all of these, and I'm like, super cool, can't trust anything. So it was around that, I was buying from that brand that was promoted to be super clean, found out that they weren't, and I had seen a lot of people that I follow be like, a cup is a way to go, and I'm like, I don't know, it's so freaky. And I ended up getting one, it was last summer, from V for Your Viv, I think is what it's called. I'll try to remember all this stuff so I can link it in the show notes. But $20, and I'm pretty sure you're supposed to replace it after a year, so I need to be replacing it soon. But $20 for an entire year. And when I tell you that I was always having issues with tampons and was just couldn't keep up, was leaking, TMI, I'm sorry. It was just not the vibe. The first 2 days were just miserable. And because I was just like, am I gonna freaking bleed through my pants? I don't know. This is so annoying to just live life like this. With the cup, literally don't even think about it. I have to empty it maybe every 6 hours. And then after that, it's good for after the first few days, it's good for up to 12. And it's so much cleaner, it feels like. You just rinse it out. And when this is my cute little tip. So if you have a cup already, this is my tip. Dr. Bronner's sells these tiny little hand soaps, travel size. I think Jen and I have talked about it before. We use it for body wash, but you can literally use Dr. Bronner's for anything under the sun. It's just Castile soap. So I use that to rinse and wash my cup. And so I got this tiny one for traveling. So when I was going to different amusement parks, I just put it in my fanny pack, and it was so cute. But yes, it has literally changed my life. And I feel I was buying tampons literally once a month, and at $10 times 12, that's a lot of money to be spending on tampons. So $20 for the entire year. It changed my life. It might not be for you, but I just needed to get it off my chest because, again, I feel too uncomfortable posting it on my Instagram story, and this is a safe space. You send us disgusting sex questions in comments, and I get to tell you about what I use for my period. What a nice little exchange we got going here, okay? All right, so now that we're past that awkward part, I want to talk about barking. I've been barking at Cole recently, and I think it is the funniest thing. We'll be sitting on the couch, and he'll even be telling me a story, and mid-sentence, I'll just start barking at him. And it catches him off guard. It scares him. And it brings me so much joy. I think it is the funniest thing ever. And I've been doing it loud, and sometimes I even do it in public to embarrass him. There's no greater joy that I'm currently experiencing than putting him in that awkward position. So, if you're looking for something new, I'm not saying it's sexy to try with your husband, try barking at him. And humble yourself in the process. And then also embarrass him and remind him how lucky he is. Also, a new thing that I am into, which honestly I will attribute to Tanner. I don't know if he will take credit for this, but I will attribute it to him. I have been loving the word freak. I think it is very funny. But you can't just throw it out willy-nilly. There has to be a time and a place to pull out this word. And I don't think I can actually disclose instances off the top of my head without just airing out too much dirty laundry. But just know, if I call you a freak, if I feel comfortable enough to use the word freak around you, then you're a real one. And that was probably my one a day use of the word. And so I've just really been feeling that recently. I'm so sorry that I'm putting you all through this. Okay, so I want to go back to stuff that was at like the top of my list. Kind of going off of Florida. I have had a complete change of heart on this topic from 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Yeah. Traveling with children. I am a huge lover of kids. I have loved kids since I was a kid. I was a nanny I started babysitting when I was really young, and then was a nanny when I was 18 to 3 boys, and then from there was a nanny for a few years, and then now that kind of sounded like British. I am surrounded by friends who all have kids. And so obviously Jenna has Monty, and she is in like such a good phase right now, and they're all kind of spaced out. So like I kind of said, Joe and Shayla have Ellie. She's 7. And they have Farah, who is 15 months. And I swear that 15 months to 2 years old is like one of the best phases. Like, they're learning things, they're starting to talk, and they're just so sweet. And it's just a great phase. And then Monty's on the younger side at 6 months. And so I just love all of these different kids in our lives right now. And I wasn't even nervous like about traveling with like Joe and Shayla's kids. First of all, like, I mean, they're really well behaved, and like they're just really funny. But the entire trip like was so filled with joy because like they were there. And I know Jenna was really, she wouldn't mind if I said this. I know she was nervous about like us going to Cape Cod with them and like traveling with Monty and everything. But I'm like so excited and I know that after my experience in Florida, like she is really happy and it's like a relief. But like Cole and I just like love being with kids and like on vacation. And again, it's much different because we are not parents. Like, even at the end of the night, we walked away from them and they slept in a room with their parents. Like, I'm not saying parents need to take their kids on vacation and like, I look down on you if you do. Not at all. I am just saying, if you are a friend of someone who has kids now and it is an option, like if they can either go on the trip with their kids or can't go at all, hopefully that made sense, like let their kids come. It's so much fun. And kids say the most wild things. You want to know what Ellie said to us this week? She opened up a story multiple times with, my friend died. My friend from kindergarten died last week. And we're like, oh my gosh, Ellie, like, I'm so sorry. Like, what? And we're like, you're trying to get the words. And she follows it up with, he was in a can and there weren't holes poked in it, so he suffocated. And you're just like, wait, what? And she said, he was a cricket. And you're like, what? And she said that story so many times before Shayla was like, honey, you have to get a different opening. Like, you have to open it up like differently. And they're just so funny. Another thing Ellie said, it was Memorial Day, and she told me multiple times, Aunt Eki, when we go home, We should make something with blueberries all crushed up, and we should lay them out in like a sheet, and then get some tomatoes and cut them, and then maybe some onions too, and cut them in the shape of a star. And I said, honey, why? Like, why? And she was like, because it's Memorial Day. And so Ellie wanted to take tomatoes, onions, and blueberries to make a flag. And again, I can see the vision, but I couldn't see how it was going to fulfill our stomachs. And like, anyways, but it was really funny. She said that to Shayla, and Shayla was like, oh, yeah, what if we did blueberries, strawberries, and yogurt? Like, that could be good. And Ellie from the back seat was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, Mama. Great. And so it was just like, what? Like, they just say the best things. And so if you're a friend to someone who has kids, be kind on them. Invite them on vacation still. It might mess with the vibe. You might have to pivot a little bit. But that leads me to my second point. Don't be afraid to do different things on vacation. Not everybody has to do the same thing. I feel like when you go on vacation with big group, or even just like another family or like group of friends in general, they're like, we have to stick together. I don't think that's the case. And I think if everybody was accepting of that, then it would make for a much easier vacation. Because if you want to go get wake up at 7 a.m. Well, this actually would be something that I want to do. And if I wanted to wake up at 7 a.m. and go to the bakery in OBX for apple uglies, like, I mean, that's a callback. I have never actually tasted an apple ugly, but someone sent in a story about that. If I want to go wake up and go to that bakery at 7 a.m., I'm not going to force all you to do it with me. I want to do that. So I'm going to go have that experience with or without you. You shouldn't have to feel responsible for wanting to come. But there are often that people are like, oh gosh, like 7 a.m. Like, I don't know about that. And I'm just like, I like, if you want to come, you can. I wasn't really inviting you, but you're more than welcome to. But I feel like that is why our friend group trips have been great over the past few years, because everyone's comfortable with saying what, like, things that they want to do. Like, okay, well, we're going to go grab lunch here. If you want to have food at the house, that's totally fine. Have food at the house. Literally no harm. I am not upset that you want to do something different. I am not angry at you. I just want to make it very clear. We can go do separate things and then come back together, because when we come back together, then we'll both be happy and satisfied. So, food for thought. Think of that as you go on vacations with people maybe this summer, but that truly is how our friend group has thrived over the past few years, where it's like, no harm. You go do your thing and you come back refreshed. Okay. I don't know how long I've been talking for at this point. I have a random story in here, but then I also have a few more things that I want to hit. Let's talk about TV. Okay. In my opinion, I haven't watched a ton of reality TV before, but in my opinion, one of the best reality TV shows, I don't think Jenna and I have ever talked about this on the podcast, but I got her hooked on it, so I know she'll back me on this. One of the best reality TV shows out there, and I have great news for you. I'm going to tell you what it is, and there are 10 seasons of it. So now you can, which I guess summer is not really binging TV summer, but if you need a show for a long road trip, download this. Below Deck. Below Deck. And if you have watched Below Deck before, you know what I'm talking about. But I actually spoke too soon. There are 10 seasons of just Below Deck, where this like crew, there are 10 seasons of just Below Deck, but now there are spin-offs off of Below Deck. So there's Below Deck Mediterranean, Below Deck Australia, Below Deck Yacht Sailing. So it's really layered now. There has to be a decent amount of seasons of Mediterranean. I think 2 of Yacht Sailing, 1 of Australia. I discovered this, I think, when I was in high school. Basically, the whole concept is It follows this yacht crew around, and it's a charter yacht. So a bunch of not a bunch, well, yeah, throughout the season, a bunch of rich people charter this yacht for like 2 or 3 days, and the TV show follows the crew around, shows like the relationships between close quarters, and like if people aren't doing their jobs, and how intense the guests can be at times. It is crack cocaine. Like, I love this show so much, and genuinely, like, I'm not even like a faithful follower of it because I forget about it a lot, and like I don't have, like, I don't know, it's on Hulu and Peacock, I think. There are at least a few seasons on on Hulu, but I think they're moving everything over to Peacock. It's also on Bravo, I'm pretty sure. Oh gosh, now I'm regretting it. I'm pretty sure it's on Bravo. It's incredible. So do yourself a favor and start Below Deck if you need a new show. I've never really been into the Housewives, but I'm considering it. I'm walking into my reality TV era, I guess. But I honestly need to check if there's a new season of Below Deck, or one of the spinoffs, just because it's just so good. And there's a lot of crossover that happens. So a lot of like people from other seasons will come back, and just the dynamics are just so interesting. People on the crew will hook up with each other. They'll start dating each other. They'll swap, like, and just so much drama. And it's so good. But on top of that, I wasn't really a keeping up with the Kardashians person growing up. It wasn't until recently that, like, I maybe in high school, like, I binged like a few seasons, but there's no way I like watched the entire thing. But since the Kardashians have been on Hulu, I've been watching every season that comes out. So the new season came out recently, I think at the end of May. And so I've watched the first 2 episodes, and our girls over at What We Said kind of gave some feedback, and I agree with them that they're just not giving a ton. And obviously it's reality TV, but they're the executive producers on the show. Like, and they're the freaking Kardashians. They're not going to release anything that they don't sign off on. So, like, because I've been watching Love is Blind too. Like, that might have been the last season I watched of Love is Blind. But they're like, they framed it in this way. That doesn't happen with the Kardashians. They tell it exactly how they want it to be told. So, I don't know. But I don't know what I was going to say. Am I entertained by it? I'm definitely entertained. Will I continue to watch it? Absolutely. But I don't know. It's not doing enough for me. And I also just, like, I haven't been watching a ton of TV. Like, I watch Modern Family before bed, but I do watch YouTube. I love YouTube. Some of my favorite people, Jason Marie Smith, of course. Kenzie Elizabeth, I love her long form vlogs. Like, she'll do like a week in a life vlog that are like 45 minutes. And I like that. And I know Jenna said she's going to walk into her vlogging era, and I might have to join her. It just looks so fun. And I'm like, I could carry around a little camera. Like, how cute would that be? Who else do I follow? Oh, well, this is a local shout out. But of course, one of my best friends, Katie, who's also my boss, but she has a YouTube channel. She kind of talks about all things Disney, all things travel. And it's really, really cute. If you travel with kids at all, you need to go check out her channel, a whole Newell, Newell, Newell World. And her content is really cute. And she just gives a ton of tips about traveling with kids and stuff like that. And then on top of that, her husband, Ed, is a credit card finance money connoisseur, where the past few years he has, like, manipulated is not the right word, because it's like obviously all legal, but he has done insane credit card math and knowledge on how to get them a bunch of free trips, free flights, free hotels and stuff. And so I need to go back and watch his, I think he's just Ed Newell. I don't think he has like a name for his like channel. But yeah, look him up on YouTube as well. But yeah, he has a Europe one. They went to Europe last September. I need to go back and watch it because Nicole and I definitely want to go back to Europe next summer. We went to Greece in October and it was incredible. And we want like a nice 2-week long like Greece vacation next year. Europe vacation next year. I would go back to Greece for like a little bit. But kind of do like a nice big trip. And so I need to go learn from Ed. But yeah, he has like a Europe one, a Hawaii one, and just like how you can use like everyday spending on credit cards and earn free stuff out of it. So it's like money that you're spending anyways and putting it towards like rewards and trips like this, like that. All right, I think I've been talking for a long time, and I think that completes my list. I had a story on here, but I'm trying to decide if I want to share it or not. Okay, I'll share it with you. You were begging, weren't you? You were screaming into your car, and you were like, Ashley, please tell us the story. Okay, everybody calm down. I'll tell you the story. So I'll leave you with this today, kids. One second. Let me take a sip of my cherry juice so I'll be ready to tuck myself into bed after this. Delicious. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wait, people ask me questions. Oh no. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot to answer these questions. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. I screenshotted it. Okay. I'm the worst. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so good on time. Now I'm definitely going to go over. Yikes. So maybe one of those stories will come. Maybe the story that I was going to share will come in to play in these questions. Okay. Somebody asked, I'll try to speedrun these. What's one of your core childhood memories? Thank you so much for asking. I had one unlocked actually tonight. So I feel like there's like 2 maybe. I grew up at Disney like as a kid and everything. So just like all of like that Disney experience is like a core memory. But this core memory was unlocked for me tonight. I had to like run something I was dropping off something to Katie at a baseball field and her son was like playing a t-ball game. It was really cute. And the parking lot was packed. And I like said to Cole, I was like, I forget sometimes that literally 10 years of my life was spent playing softball. And like every single night of the week, we were like at the softball field. And it's just so crazy, like when you get older, just like how much you forget about that stuff. But like if we weren't playing, we'd go watch other people play. And like you're sitting and like cheering people on. Then you go up to the concession stand. You get a hot dog or a pretzel. Oh my gosh. Like there's just like nothing like it. And it just feels so like in the best way. I mean this word, it feels so childish. And I'm just like, oh, I love that feeling. Like I wish I could go back and like hold on to that feeling of like just feeling like that was like everything that mattered, was like how far I was going to get in this rec softball league, or if like our team was going to make it to the championship game. And just like supporting my friends and like just feeling like softball was like my entire world. And it's just so funny, like, because I'm not like that far removed from being 18, like is when I stopped playing. But it's just so like funny how quickly you forget about things like that. And so like the past 2 years I played softball with like our church league. And that was like fun to like kind of reconnect with like that part of my life. But yeah, for like literally 10 years of my life, I played softball like year round. It started in the fall. Like we played like fall rec ball, and then all the way like through the spring. And then spring was like when we played at high school too and middle school. And there's just nothing like America's greatest pastime. I love it. So that is a core memory for me. I guess, sorry, it wasn't super specific, but favorite place I've lived. Yeah, I mean, I've only lived here, like here and California, so obviously I'm going to have to go California. I grew up in Riverside, California, and I feel like when you're like growing up somewhere, everyone's like, I'm getting out of my hometown. And whenever I go back and visit now, I'm just like have such an appreciation for it. It is so close to everything. So like a lot of people don't know where Riverside is. It is inland, and you are literally an hour away from everything. So you can get to the mountains in an hour, the beach in an hour, Palm Springs in an hour, Joshua Tree in an hour, LA on a really good day in an hour. And so you're just like central to a bunch of stuff, which is just so nice. Like you can be to water or to the mountains in the same amount of time. And so I have a lot of love and appreciation for Riverside, and who knows, maybe one day I'll live back there once again. Don't have any plans as of now, but it's just very expensive, but I do love it. And yeah. What is your favorite thrift stores? Okay, thank you so much for asking. Well, and this also says for both of you, but this was on my page, so I don't know if Jenna saw this. But I know I can speak for both of us when I say Salvation Army. Don't make me regret this. I'm not gatekeeping this, so I'm going to tell you. Salvation Army in Latrobe on 30. Apparently there is another one in Latrobe, but it's the one on 30. And it has a big yellow sign that says thrift store, and it's really cute. A bunch of people from like Ligonier and Latrobe will just donate stuff there, and they have no idea how good it is. And so it's just a really like goated thrift store. Cole, Jenna, and Tanner, like all, I don't even know, grew up, but like in high school, like they would go there, and like obviously they've known about it much longer than I have. Then I came around and they showed me it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty incredible. So that's a good one. That's probably our top. But local, like not Latrobe or like Ligonier area, Cole and I love oh my gosh, St. Vincent de Paul. So that is on 22 in Plum. I was like, I'm forgetting. Is it not 22? I literally get it confused. 286. It's on 286 in Plum. I get it 288. Oh my gosh. Pause. I get 286 and 22 confused constantly. It's just off of 22, but it's on 286. St. Vincent de Paul. Honestly, Cole and I have gotten so much like house stuff from there. I'm trying to think if there's anything in this room. I'm not like I can show you anyways. But we got our dresser and our nightstands from there on 2 separate occasions, and they match. And they're really cool. Like easily, like we could have resold it on Facebook Marketplace for like $500. So yeah, those are definitely our top 2. I don't really waste time going to other ones unless we're traveling. Okay. Fave smoothie recipes, and what blender do you use? New mom here and need quick healthy snacks. Okay, you came to the right place. I have a lot of snacks, I feel like. So I'll try to rattle off my smoothie recipe. Okay. Raw milk of choice, is your base, which also I was going through raw milk so quickly before I realized I used to do half water, half milk. I don't know where this idea left me, but at some point I just went full milk. But if you want to make obviously your milk last longer, go half and half. So half water, half milk, a banana, 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, a drizzle of honey. Oh my gosh, and then this is where I feel like I've talked about it before. I pack on my supplements. So I do a scoop of collagen, magnesium, a vitamin C supplement, and the beef liver. When you mix the beef liver powder in here, you can't taste it even a little bit, and then some ice and blend it all up. I use oh my gosh, it's not a Ninja. Oh my gosh. I'll have to post it. It's like NutriBullet. I think that's what it is. I got it for our wedding. My friend Sam got it for me, and I'll post the link to it. I need to remember that. But yeah, it's just like a standalone. I don't even use like a full blender. It's one of those like cups, and then like you put like the blade on it, and then you like stick it on it. And it's like that like smoothie recipe will work for Cole and I. Like it's enough for us both to have a smoothie. And so yeah. So that's my go-to smoothie recipe. I try to make it every morning because it gets us all of our vitamins and supplements in there. My favorite snacks, I've talked about it before, and I love hearing when I've influenced you guys. But someone told me that they tried the dairy-free French onion dip from Kite Hill. It's incredible. It's been my go-to for a very long time. So kettle cooked chips with that is my favorite. But if you want to feel less sloppy for just having chips and dip, I love a chomp. I love the chomp beef sticks. I think they're so delicious. And obviously, I don't track like macros or protein or calories, anything like that. But obviously, just any meat source is a great source of protein. And so I love those. I put those in my lunch like at least every day, pack them for weddings. And then recently, actually, which I know a lot of places are coming out with things like these, but I saw this fruit bar at Trader Joe's, and it was literally, the ingredients said apples and mangoes. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try it. And it was like just like a fruit strip of just apples and mangoes mixed together, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought the flavor was really good on it. So something like that. I'm trying to think what else. I love like a RX bar. Like that chocolate flavor is like my favorite. But during the summertime, they're not a great summertime snack because they melt and they get everywhere. But I do love those. I took those to Disney. Just any type of like gluten-free granola bar I vibe with. But yeah, honestly, chomps are in like, I pack those wherever I go. They're just like such a great like snack to have on hand, and like they're healthy for you. So hopefully that helps. My favorite part of photography. Right now I've been really which I feel like it's not like I took a season off of this, but more recently I've been really into family photography. It's just the best. And like sometimes like there have only been a few instances where like a kid wasn't feeling it and like was mad the entire time, but most of the time like the kids like warm up to me, and like it's just so fun like being able to see like their personalities come out. But right now, my favorite part of photography just has to be capturing families and just like knowing that you're like, it's like this in any like session or like instance in photography, obviously like weddings too, but it's like you're giving them something that they're going to hold on to and look at forever. And like, that's just really special to know that. But especially families, I'm like, I'm handing you a photo or sending you a photo of like your kid frozen at 5 years old. Like, you're going to look at this photo of them at this age for years to come. And I just think that's really special. And so I've been really digging family sessions. If you want to book me, please do, because I love them so much. My friend Shayla said, how is she so nice and sweet? I came that way. I don't know. What was your dream childhood job, or your childhood dream job? Childhood. Okay, this is so embarrassing, but one time, maybe a few times, people told me that as a kid, not as I am now, I do not think this highly of myself, but as a kid, I looked like Miley Cyrus. And basically what I have concluded is I was just white with long brown wavy hair. I'll post a photo. I have a photo with Miley Cyrus at that similar, like when people were telling me that I looked like her. And so I convinced myself that I can't believe I'm telling you this. This was like literally when I was like 7 years old. But since all of these people were telling me, oh my gosh, you look just like Miley Cyrus, oh my gosh, I was like, Miley's people are going to find out that I am her doppelganger, and they're going to call upon me and ask me to be like backup for her one day. Like when like either she's sick, they're like, you have to go on. You look just like Miley. I cannot believe I'm admitting this. Again, I was 7. I was like so little. But so if we're getting technical, my dream was to be Miley Cyrus. But around like, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm like, when did it become realistic? I was always into fashion as a kid. So come like my middle school days, I was really convinced I'd go into like fashion merchandising, and I was going to live in New York and like be a fashion like buyer and like all of this stuff. And then I went to Bible college for 2 years, which was definitely not a waste, but I didn't do anything with it. But yeah, if we're to be technical, I definitely wanted to be Miley Cyrus, and I am not a good singer I would literally be like, if we were meant, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna call on me. Miley, my people are waiting. Okay, last question. I'm so sorry, I almost forgot about these. You would have missed out on my solo. How did you get into photography / start your business? Thank you for asking. Honestly, I didn't want to for like the longest time, but it kind of just came naturally, like through church, and I was running the photo team at church, and I was like, well, I'm in charge of the photo team. It was like kind of dropped in my lap because I was also in charge of social, so the two kind of felt like hand in hand together. And I was like, well, I'm running the photo team, I don't even know how to take a freaking photo. I will never forget, like, one of the first days someone was like, oh, I take photos, and I was like, cool, here's the camera. And I was like trying to figure out the settings on it, and this was probably in like 2018. Yeah, that sounds about right. 2018, 2019 maybe. And it kept like I was taking photos on the camera, and I was like outside too, and it was completely blown out, completely overexposed, and I was like, why is it doing that? I don't know what these numbers mean, like, and was just like, okay, you need to teach yourself how to freaking use a camera. And so like I went home and just like watched YouTube videos, and I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I just enjoyed like shooting at church, and then like shooting with like just capturing like little moments. I remember I used to be a youth leader, and like I had like hosted a sleepover with the girls, and I was like, oh, let me take photos of you guys, and like I still have them on my phone now. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Like I can like just remember like sitting in my living room and stuff and like capturing those moments. And then I don't really know like how it happened. I'm trying to think. The first wedding I ever shot, well, okay, this will be like our closing story. I just had been taking more photos through church, and some people had asked, I hadn't really posted like a ton though, but some people were like, oh, can you do my family photos? Oh, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend. Can you take our photos? Oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And it just kind of started happening naturally, which is another point I will say, that the church is one of the best places to market yourself. If you are in a church and you have like a community and you have a business or something you're trying to promote, think of people that you can do like free advertising with. Like me and a girl at church, we do an exchange. I take photos for her. She does my hair. Just think of people that you can market for stuff like that. I truly think that the church is like the best place to find people to just share your products or share your business. And so then this guy asked me, we'll call him Bill. He was like, hey, I need a second shooter for a wedding. Can you do it? And I was like, I've never shot a wedding before. Like, I need you to know, like, full disclosure. And he was like, no, like, that's fine. Like, I can teach you. But like, I've seen your work and you're great. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I had like a micro wedding with him the day before, just at the courthouse, a few hours. And then he was like, okay, tomorrow we have like a full wedding. And I was so nervous, and I probably like checked my car 500 times, making sure my camera was still in it on the drive there. And then I get there, the day is going fine. Honestly, like, we had so much time built into the schedule, so I was like kind of sitting around and just like, I was like, wow, these are like what wedding days are like. This is like so slow, and was just really vibing. Like, I was having a great time. And then the ceremony happens, and we're getting into family portraits afterwards. And I feel like all of the photographer people that like listen to this podcast are just going to cringe so hard at this. Like, this was just so tough. Just such a tough situation. We're doing family portraits, and the lead photographer, what did I call him? Bill, like, steps away to take a phone call. And it's like at the peak moment of like family portraits where Aunt Susan, Bobby, Billy are all like in the photo. And it's like massive. And Bill is like over on the phone. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, why are you on the phone right now? Like, you're like, come on, dude. Like, and I just got like really frustrated. So I was like, oh, hi, like, okay, smile right here, because the bride was like noticeably getting angry. So like I snapped a few photos and I was like, okay, great. And then he comes sprinting back over and he was like, no, 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 I'm the lead photographer. I say when the photo's done. And I was like, okay, dude, but you were on the phone. You were on the phone. So like, what's going on here? So then he comes up to me and he like pulls me aside and I'm like, am I really about to get in trouble for taking this freaking photo when you were on the phone? And he was like, we have a problem. And I was like, okay. And he was like, that was my wife on the phone and she just went into labor a few weeks early. And I was like, okay. I will say I'm very calm, cool, collected for the most part under pressure. I'm just like automatically already thinking about like a solution. And so I was like, okay, all right. And he was like, can you call anybody to come second shoot with you? And again, if you know wedding photography, you're thinking at this point, the ceremony's done. We had done a first look. I think it was all, I'm trying to remember. I think we still had to do bridal party photos, but then after that, once you're into the reception, it's kind of smooth sailing for the most part. You're eating dinner and then dances, speeches, dancing photos. You're done. And so again, my first wedding ever. And so I call, like, luckily, because I led the photo team at church, I had a pool of photographers to call. And so I called, excuse me, literally the first person I called picked up and he was like, yeah, I can be there. 30 minutes? Sure. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. And so he came on his way. And when he got there, Bill left to go be with his wife in labor. And I think they had the baby like that night. So that was a good thing that he left, but he got there with like plenty of time. And I shot the rest of the reception with my friend from church. And that was my first wedding. And I just remember texting Jenna the entire time. And she was like, in my years of photography, this, like, there's been more instances too of like random stories that I've collected. And she was like, in all of my years, I have never had this much drama. I don't know how you have. And like that was like my first year of photography. With every single wedding I went to, there was so much drama and just like chaos. And it was just, she was like, how does this keep happening like when you're around? I'm like, I don't know. So that was my first wedding. That was the story I was going to tell. So I'm glad that we wrapped it up on that. I have probably been talking for forever, but this has been so much fun. I loved talking to you guys, having you all to myself, and just having you guys, my little hostages, here with me. But I think, yeah, that just about wraps it up. It is now 10:30 at night and I need to go tuck myself into bed. But next week is going to be our Cape Cod episode with the boys. So I'll make sure that we put the form in here too. If you want to go ask the boys a question, go submit something on the form. I feel like she teased it in her episode, so I feel like I can also say something. But I haven't received them in my hand yet, but we have received photos of our proofs. What's the word I'm looking for? Samples, I guess, of merch. And oh my gosh, it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. And we are so excited to show you guys. So excited for you to be able to purchase it and rock and support the podcast in a public way. So that will be happening very soon. We're going to be taking photos in Cape Cod. So I know we said Big Things Coming is canceled, but you're just going to have to wait a few more weeks because big things are in fact certainly coming. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, on YouTube. Tell your friends that this is the best podcast that you've ever listened to. And yeah, we love you. And I will see you next week with my bestie back by my side. Love you.